Today, we're talking about a legend, a 17th century Indian king who didn't just fight empires, he outsmarted them. We're diving into the incredible story of Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj. Now, this isn't just another history lesson about battles and dates. No, this is a story about sheer cunning, about an unbreakable will, and it all really hinges on this one mind-blowing question. How does a prisoner, trapped in the clutches of the most powerful emperor of the age, not only escape, but then go on to build his own empire from the ground up? So here's how we're going to break down his incredible journey. We'll start with his oath of self-rule, then get into the story of the tiger's claws, his time in the imperial cage, that unbelievable great escape, his transformation into the people's king, and finally, we'll look at his timeless legacy.
All right, let's kick things off. Our story doesn't start with a king on a throne. It starts with a young boy and a really radical idea for the time. That idea was Swaraj, or self-rule, the dream that his people should govern themselves. This is the seed from which everything else grows.
So, Shivaji was born in 1630 in the Shivneri hill fort, and a huge influence on him was his mother, Jijabai. She's the one who really instilled in him a powerful sense of justice and duty. And he didn't exactly hang around waiting. By 1647, at just 17 years old, think about that, 17, he captures his first fort, Torna, right from under the nose of the powerful Adad-Shahi Sultanate. And he was just getting started. That same year, bam, he nabs the forts of Kondana and Purandar. These weren't just random conquests, you guys. These were the first deliberate building blocks of his dream for Swaraj. Okay, so as Shivaji starts racking up these wins, his enemies are definitely starting to notice, and they are not happy. This sets the stage for one of the most legendary showdowns in all of Indian history. And believe me, this wasn't about two massive armies clashing. It was a battle of wits, of nerve, and just brilliant, brilliant strategy. I mean, look at this matchup. The odds were just completely stacked against him. You've got Afzal Khan, this seasoned, absolutely ruthless general with a huge army, and his mission is simple: get rid of Shivaji. And then you have Shivaji. He's got a much smaller, nimbler force, but he's got a couple of aces up his sleeve. His mastery of guerrilla warfare, called Skanimikava, and the fact that he was on his home turf, Pratapgarh Fort. This is a classic underdog story right here. So the plan was simple and sinister. Afzal Khan invites Shivaji for a friendly meeting, but the real goal is to assassinate him. The thing is, Shivaji was nobody's fool. He came prepared. When Khan makes his move and tries to stab him, Shivaji's hidden armor completely saves his life. And then, in a flash, Shivaji strikes back. He uses this concealed weapon called a wagnak, which literally means tiger claws, and fatally wounds the general. It was just an incredible display of foresight, bravery, and proof that he was a master strategist, not just a fighter. Okay, so he's dealt with one major threat, but now the game is about to level up big time. The mighty Mughal Empire, led by the formidable Emperor Aurangzeb, now turns its full, undivided attention to this upstart king in the south. This is the big leagues. So in 1665, after a really grueling siege, Shivaji finds himself in a tough spot. To protect his people, he has to sign the Treaty of Purandar, and the terms were harsh. He had to surrender 23 of his forts and, get this, travel all the way to Agra to meet Aurangzeb in person. He was literally walking into the lion's den. And once he gets to Agra, things go from bad to worse. It was Aurangzeb's 50th birthday, and in the middle of this grand court, Shivaji is deliberately insulted. He's forced to stand with lower-ranked nobles. For a king, this was just a massive public slap in the face. But Shivaji wasn't the type to just take it. In an incredible act of defiance, he protested the insult. Of course, that bold move got him placed under house arrest immediately. Now he's a prisoner hundreds of miles from home. So he's trapped. But defeated? Not even close. You can just imagine his mind racing, figuring out the next move. What comes next isn't a battle fought with swords and shields. It's a battle of pure intellect. And it leads to, hands down, one of the most ingenious escapes you'll ever hear about. His plan was just a masterpiece of psychological warfare, seriously. So step one, he fakes a really bad illness. The guards start to relax, thinking he's no threat. Step two, he starts this new daily charity. He sends out these huge baskets of sweets to local temples and the poor, for his recovery. At first, the guards check every single basket, but day after day, the routine gets boring. They get lazy. And that was the whole point. On August 19, 1666, he and his young son Sambhaji hide inside 2 of those very baskets and are just carried right out the front door. Incredible. But the genius doesn't stop there. So he's out. What's the logical move? A mad dash south back to his homeland, right? That's what the Mughals thought too. So they blocked every single route heading south. But what does Shivaji do? The absolute opposite. He heads north, towards Mathura. This one move completely threw his pursuers off the scent. It was brilliant. He left his son with a trusted family to keep him safe, and then, in disguise, he took this long, winding path back home. Aurangzeb's patrols were busy searching in the complete wrong direction. He didn't just escape the cage, he escaped their entire way of thinking. So he makes it back home, and as you can imagine, he's greeted as a hero. But here's what's so important. He didn't just focus on getting his old forts back. His vision was bigger now. He wanted to build something that would last, a sovereign state built on totally new ideas, efficiency, justice, and putting the people first. And that all led to this incredible moment on June 6, 1674. At his capital, Raigad Fort, Shivaji has his formal coronation. This is where he takes the title Chhatrapati, which means paramount sovereign. And look, this wasn't just about a fancy new title. It was a massive statement. He was declaring to the world that the Maratha kingdom was now a formal, independent, sovereign power on equal footing with anyone else. So how do you run this new kingdom? Well, Shivaji created something called the Ashtapradhan, a council of 8 ministers. And this was a game changer for the time. It wasn't just a bunch of yes-men. It was basically a professional cabinet. You had the Peshwa, the prime minister, running the whole administration. The Amacha was the finance guy. The Sumad handled foreign relations. Each person was an expert in their field. It was a system built on merit, not on who your father was. It was all about efficiency and accountability. This just shows his genius wasn't just on the battlefield, it was in governance too. Shivaji passed away in 1680. But his vision? That lived on. His kingdom endured. And really, his legacy isn't just about the forts or the battles, as amazing as they were. It's about the revolutionary ideas he brought to the table. So what makes him such an enduring figure? Well, let's count the ways. First, the military genius, right? He basically perfected guerrilla warfare. Second, he was a social reformer, and a radical one at that. He got rid of this oppressive feudal system called Vatandari, which basically let local lords exploit farmers. He put an end to that, giving power back to the people who actually worked the land. Third, he was incredibly inclusive. His government was a meritocracy. He picked people based on their skills, not their caste or religion. And finally, he was a champion of culture, promoting Marathi and Sanskrit in his administration so that normal people could actually understand what was going on. And you can still see his legacy today. Literally. A network of his forts, they're called the Maratha Military Landscapes, have actually been nominated to be a UNESCO World Heritage Site, and they stretch all the way from Maharashtra down to Tamil Nadu. These forts aren't just old buildings, they're a physical testament to his strategic brilliance. They tell the story of the kingdom he built. So when you put it all together, what do you see? You see so much more than a warrior king. You see a visionary, someone who built a kingdom from nothing, based on these radical ideas of self-rule, justice, and a government that actually works for the people. He really proved that a leader's real power isn't just the size of their army. It's in their character and in their vision for a better world. And that kind of leaves us with one final thought to chew on. In our world today, where we're still wrestling with these big questions of what makes a good leader, what social justice looks like, what can we learn from a rebel king who lived over 350 years ago? His story of courage, of out-of-the-box thinking, of inclusive rule, it still resonates, doesn't it? It reminds us that some principles, the principles of true leadership, are absolutely timeless.